Hi everyone, it's Mary from Joyful and Mary Quilting, and today we're going to talk about using magnets with our quilting projects. If you're like me and you have used traditional pin cushions for years and years, I think you're going to be in for a treat. I have all sorts of pin cushions that I have used, that I love, and that I still use because they all have their place. But when it comes to actually finding a home for my pins, something that's convenient, easy, I don't drop pins on the floor, but rather they stay together, I really prefer the magnets. Whether you're keeping your pins in place, whether you're organizing your needles, or maybe you're just picking up stray pins on the floor, magnets offer a convenient and secure solution. Now, you know when you buy your pins, they come in little boxes like this or like this, which never stays closed. I'm always having to put a rubber band around it to make sure that it doesn't fall open in the drawer. Or even this one that has a little latch, my favorite pins, my extra fines, it has a little latch, but the pins, there's so many pins that are in this little box. When you pull one out, they all come out. So that's where the magnet kind of answers that dilemma for me. I'm going to go through some of the magnets that I have, and I'll tell you why I like them, what I use them for. The first one is the Grab It magnet. These are available in most quilt shops, Joann's. Grab It is a particular brand. It is a magnet. They are very strong, so your pins don't fall off of it. Of course, if you put too many pins on, you might have one or two that'll drop off. But for the most part, they do stay in place, and they lay flat so that when I'm picking up a pin, I don't get stuck with a pin that's poking up, and I can use them, especially these sharp ones, because these extra fines are really sharp. I like one for my flatheads because I use my flathead pins for one project. I use my very thin extra fine pins for another. I like to have them separate, so I only grab the pin that I'm after. So the Grab It works really well. There's some knockoffs when it comes to this type of a magnetic pin holder, and they don't work as well. In fact, their magnets are very, very weak. You can't tell when you first buy it because they're usually packaged. When you get them home, you realize you can have a very thin line of pins on there and then they start to fall off. There's just not a lot of pull when it comes to what the knockoff brands have as compared to the Grab It. So I love my Grab Its, use them a lot. The next one that I'm going to talk about are my Purple Hobbies magnetic pin cups. I love these. It comes in one larger size than this one, but this is the small size, this is the medium size. If I am traveling anywhere and I need to take my pins with me, this is my go-to. These are what I use. Now I'm going to show you what I've got inside. What I love about these, and Purple Hobbies has a deal for Joyful and Mary Quilters. If you type in Mary Sent Me, all one word, Mary Sent Me, you'll get a 15% discount on your entire order, which is really a good deal. So make sure that you use that code. Here's the pin cup. It unscrews, and then you can see my pins are inside. When I'm ready to use them, all I do is twist the bottom and this pops up. Look at how neat that is. You take your lid, put it underneath your pin cup, and there my pins are all ready to be used. They're all standing upright. So again, I don't poke myself. These are very sharp. And I love being able to use them this way. I put them next to my sewing machine. Everything stays when I go to put them back in again. It works just really well. Now I have a lot in here because I take a lot with me, but I just love the way this holds my pins. When I'm finished, you just pick it up, give it a slight turn to lock it in place, and then you put the lid on. So that's my small pin holder. This is my larger one. You can see what I have in here. These are for my flatheads. So again, same thing. I'm going to just turn it, and there are all my pins. And the magnet holds them in there. When I'm finished with a pin, I can easily just put them back in again. I like to put the lid underneath when I'm using it, and that way you can move it around. You don't have to worry about picking it up all the time and having the sides go up. But just a really great and fun product. So that's another magnetic option, especially for quilt retreats, travel, whatever. I love using that. So the next one I'm going to tell you about is just a simple magnetic tray. It's just a small tray that you can buy at Menards. It's usually used for parts or screws or whatever. Very cheap, but has a great magnet. So what I like to use this for, I have my flathead pins in here right now, but what I do is I take one and I put it at my sewing machine, and I put the other one where I'm doing my pinning, usually on my cutting mat. I use the pins at my cutting mat, and then when I'm sewing and I'm pulling them out, I put them in here until this fills up. Then I just swap them out. So I know I've always got pins ready to go at the other place. So these work really well for that. Again, super inexpensive, a nice compact size, and a really strong magnet. As you can see, I mean, it just works really well here. So I love this particular one. I also use one for my safety pins. Now, not all pins will stick to the magnet. They're not all made of the same metal. So if you have pins that don't do that, they will fall out, whether they're straight pins or safety pins. You want to make sure if you're using a magnet that you have something that's going to hold on to those pins, whether it's safety pins or straight pins or whatever, flatheads. So that works well. My last magnet is this big one, and it's actually a parts holder as well, screws or nails or whatever. But it is, again, inexpensive. Get it at Menards, and look at that. I mean, I've got all of my pins in there. They're not going to fall out. I mean, they are in there for good. And when I put them back, as soon as I toss it in there, it sticks. So I know that when I use my pins, I usually use my larger head pins with this particular magnet just because it's very deep and I want to be able to just easily pick it out. So this works well for the larger pins, especially those quilters pins, those yellow head pins. So these are all some great options. Now I've got a couple of other things that I use that are magnetic. You may have seen what I have on my wrist right here. This is by Martelli, and it's called a magnetic wristlet. And it's just like one of those snap bracelets. You just put it on, and then you put your pins on here. You know what I use this for? When I am standing at my design wall, sometimes the blocks will stick and I won't have any trouble, but sometimes I need to put a pin or two in my block to keep it on the design wall. And I just have them right here and I'm able to use it. I love having this easy access. And actually it is a relatively strong magnet, so I can put quite a few pins on here, and it's easy for me then to pull a pin off and then pin things to the wall. So I love this little wristlet. And again, it's magnetic. It works well with these larger pins, and that's usually what I use on my design wall. Now, there are, different pin cushions that you can put on the design wall. They hang there, but you gotta go over to get them. Every time I need a new one, whether I'm on one side or the other, I've got to reach for it. There's no reaching when it comes to this. It's just right there. So I love that. Now, Purple Hobbies also makes this little product. It's called a needle minder. And it's also like a fidget tool. But what you do with this, and this has been really important to me because when I am using my long arm, I always am pinning a pin up into my shirt here that I use, that I pull off and on when I'm sewing, a pin that I need. The wristlet works well too. It's just that sometimes it can get in the way when I'm moving my arm around. And so I like this little tool. It's just a magnet, as you can see, and you take one piece and you put it under your shirt, and then the other piece here. And then when I'm using my flathead pins, I can just have it sitting there and then I can grab it easily and I know where it is. I love this. It makes things so convenient, and this is actually something that we don't often think about, how convenient it can be when we have it as we are searching for a pin or trying to find one when we're working. It can work anytime. I mean, if you know that you're going to use pins periodically during a project, you can have a couple of pins sitting here and it works well, and the magnet holds them tight. Now, I have to tell you, if you have a pacemaker or a defibrillator, which that's history in my family, you can't use these. You cannot have a magnet close to the pacemaker or the defibrillator or any internal device. And it may or may not affect your device, but not worth the risk, right? So use whatever knowledge you have, ask your doctor or whatever, and see if it's okay to use these magnets. Just want to let you know. The other thing that I have here, let's see, sometimes when I'm sewing, and I pull my pins out and I don't have a magnet, some sewing machines suggest you not have a magnet close by. For the most part, in everything that I've read, it's really not damaging to your machine, but you need to check with your dealer and find out for sure. But sometimes when I'll pull my pins out, you can see I've got a little stack there and they're not in anything. This is a bingo wand or just a magnetic wand. You can buy them very inexpensive. What I do is you can take the wand and look at this. There we go. They're all ready to go, and they're ready for me then to take and put back into my pin holder. There we go. So this is an easy thing, especially if you've got pins that have, fallen out or they're on your table. You can just run the wand over. It's a really strong magnet, and it works well when it comes to picking up those pins. But let's say you dropped them on the floor and this isn't quite long enough to reach what it is. That's where this little fella comes in handy. This is a telescoping magnet, and it extends out a pretty good distance, and then it has this magnet on the end. So if I drop a pin on the floor, and you can hear it went down there, and I can't reach it, but I go here, oh, look at that. There it is, picked it right up. This is super handy. And the thing is, even if you can't see the pin, if it's a distance, you just run the telescoping magnet over across the floor. It'll find it. It's a strong magnet, and it will actually gather those pins up, and nothing is worse than stepping on a pin. Now, if it gets embedded in your carpet, I can't guarantee that it's going to grab it and pull that out of there. But on the floor, it works like a charm, and hopefully, if you get it right away when you've dropped a pin and you use your magnet, you will pick it up, whether it's on a carpet or on the floor. The last thing I want to show you really isn't a pin magnet, but it's the scissor minder. And this is really handy. What it is, this is also made by Purple Hobbies, and actually it's a magnet. Here's the other half of the magnet. You take the paper off the back and then you stick it to your sewing machine wherever you want it. Then this goes on here. Then you take your scissors, and you're not supposed to pull them off and on, but you're supposed to just slide it on. And look, it holds your scissors there. You don't have to put it in a slot like some of them. It just grabs onto it. When I'm ready to use it, you're not, again, supposed to pull it off, but rather just slide it off, cut, and put it back on. And there you have it. So that's a quick look at the pin magnets I use and why I think they are such a fantastic upgrade from pin cushions. So give them a try. I'm sure you'll love the switch. Do you use pin magnets? Let me know in the comments which ones are your favorite. And if you haven't tried them yet, I'd love to hear what you think once you do. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more quilting tips. See you next time. I am always trying to be joyful, but I will always be merry.